you want to know my opinion on what I think, just keep on watching. Hi guys, it's your girl Nisi here and I'm back with another video, and oh my gosh, Australia have finally done something about TikTok. I know it's not just TikTok, but the whole social media, they've banned it for under 16s, and yeah, it's just crazy. Yikes. I know the main social media that's been targeted is TikTok. You know, the kids love to go on there and do their little, and now they've got a lot of like kids, like 10-year-olds doing like skincare routines. So it's a lot.
The Australian Senate has passed a social media ban for all children under 16, becoming a world first law. The Senate passed the bill, with the House overwhelmingly approving the legislation. The law will make platforms including TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, X, and Instagram liable for fines of up to 50 million Australian dollars for failures to prevent children younger than 16 from holding accounts.
It's good that it's being discussed globally. It's good that it's in place in Australia, and it finally takes a conversation that we should have been having for years.
Okay, so with this, I see it as a good thing and a bad thing. It's like things nowadays, there's always some sort of underlining agenda behind it. So for good things, so basically I'm a 90s baby, and obviously growing up in the 90s, there was no social media. I didn't even have like a good phone until I was literally in college. So, you know, a proper adult. Even in high school, like a lot of my friends had like the latest phones, and I was just there like, Well, I never got like bullied or anything for it. And then if I ever needed my friend's phone, you know what I mean, they would give it to me. So the best phone back then in my day was like a Sony Ericsson, because you could play music, da 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 da. So we'd just be sitting on the back of the bus jamming. But like I said, if I wanted something, my friends would just give it me. But I feel like nowadays with teens, you know, they use social media. It's not just about like videos, it's about pictures, obviously music. There's a lot of like young content creators, so obviously they need that for YouTube. Like that's how they make their money. So this is actually nuts. So let's get into some people's reaction, and I'll give you my final thoughts at the end.
It's a sad day for Australia today. The under 16 social media ban was forced through the Senate last night and will come into law at the end of next year. The gay communist that we call a prime minister used every sneaky, slimy, political tactic under the sun to make sure this happened after his failed misinformation bill. Make no mistake about it, this has nothing to do with protecting children. It is a way to implement digital surveillance on the entire population.
You might have heard, but the Australian government is looking at banning social media for anyone under the age of 16. The Prime Minister has said that social media companies will be responsible for verifying age. And I'm not sure people have thought about how that might work. If social media companies have to verify everyone's age individually, does that mean everyone will have to share private and personal information to every app? I don't know about you, but that sounds annoying and also a huge privacy risk for me and my child. As a parent, I love being involved in my teen's online life, and I want simple, safe tools to oversee her activity because at the end of the day, I'm her parent and I know what's best for my own child. Now, I think there's a better way. Age checks and permission could happen at the App Store or at an operating system level, which basically means kids would have to ask their parents for approval before they download an app. Think about it this way. When you go see a movie, cinemas ask to verify your age, not the movie producers. And app stores should be the ones verifying age, not the apps that they sell. Just one central place to approve what our kids are downloading would make things so much more simpler. And it's going to make sure our teens are a lot safer because they're not sharing detailed personal information with every app. Social media isn't going anywhere, and we need to find a safe way where our kids can use and enjoy technology. If there's any parents concerned about the change, I really want to encourage you to email your local MP or maybe even tag them in the comments because your voice deserves to be heard.
Morning, wake up! I'm in a good mood because I'm actually on time today. What I wanted to talk about was that Australia being the first country in the world to ban social media for under 16s. What do we think about this move? I mean, I actually want to hear from Australia. I want to know sort of what their feelings are around it. Do they think it's going to work? Do they think it's not going to work? How are we going to get it to work? So their government has said that basically all social media needs to comply with their new laws by 2025, and if they don't, they could be fined into the millions. So it's happening. Also, but what do we think here in the UK? Do we think it's a good move? Is it a positive move? Do we think it's a move that's really going to work? For me, I'm just not sure, because I feel like, is it going to work the same way like my generation when we were younger and the generation before that? If we couldn't do something that we weren't old enough to do, we were going to find a way of doing it anyway. So I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I am interested to know how they're going to enforce it and what it's going to look like.
They finally did it. They got the online safety ban through the Senate yesterday to ban social media for under 16-year-olds in Australia in 1 year's time. Positives, negatives, there's a couple, so I'm just going to share with you now. Helps parents is a good thing, right? So I know that there is certain parents out there that their children are just pressuring them for social media, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever, and this is going to help you say no. You're going to be able to say, sorry mate, it's illegal, it's against the law. It's going to suck for them, but it's going to give you that power to say no. And I know that that is really important for some parents, because when you've got your child saying, but everyone else has it, everyone else is doing it, why can't I? It can be really hard, because you don't want to be the parent that says no, but they really need us to say no sometimes. The negatives on this is that it's not going to stop you from having to teach them about online safety. It's not going to stop you from having to enforce some of those rules and those things, because kids are really good at being kids and they are good at finding ways and workarounds to get things. So having a VPN is going to stop this. It's actually until the legislation is enforced and until it's in power, we don't know what it's going to do. They're obviously going to put it back onto the social media companies to block children under the age of 16 from being on their platforms. How is that going to happen? I do not know yet. We do not know yet. So it's going to be on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchats. It's going to be on them to enforce it, on them. So, kids are still going to find ways to work around it. The current generation that's on social media, the kids that already have social media, they're going to hate this. If they're under the age of 15 now, then they're the ones who are going to be affected by this. They're going to hate it because if they've already got it, it's harder to get rid of and take away than it is to actually say no. So, but the next generation, the kids that haven't got social media, this is going to be amazing for them, because hopefully more of their peers and more of the people around them won't already have social media. So it's going to be the norm not to have it, versus the current situation where it's the norm to have it. So yeah, there's some positives and negatives. We don't know how it's going to be enacted. We don't know how it's going to be enforced. I think the fine's about 50 million to the social media platforms if they do not find a way to age verify children, which is amazing. It's not on our hands, but it doesn't mean that we don't stop parenting. It doesn't mean that we don't stop teaching our kids about online safety, about sextortion, online grooming, all of the things. We're still going to have to do our jobs, because there's still other platforms that won't be included in this ban that will have those options in there. So please keep talking to your kids about online safety, keep talking to them about body safety, and keep your fingers on the pulse, because they need you to.
Now, is this going to stop under 16s going on social media? No. Again, growing up, obviously in the UK, you can't drink until you're 18 years old. Obviously, I had alcohol before I turned 18. So there's always ways around things. But I do think it's a good idea. The reasons why, I feel like since social media has just been blowing up, kids are more anxious, so they've got anxiety, they've got depression. There's a lot more pressure. There's what's that bullying that happens online. Obviously in my day, bullying was just when you see the bully in person. Can't remember what it's called. I'll put it here. Is it cyberbullying? So, I remember when I watched a soap in the UK, the girl was getting bullied at school, and then she was getting nasty messages on Facebook, on her phone. It was just out of control. So the bullies were bullying her 24/7. Obviously, I was just log out, don't log back. But it's not as easy as that. It's more easier said than done. But with this ban, it's a lot more easier. educational wise, if they're struggling in Australia, because I know a lot of schools are struggling in the UK and America, I feel like grades will go up. I feel like it can be a positive because, like, say, like in the UK and America, the school system's been struggling. You know, like people with their grades being able to read. Like, there's a lot of teenagers reading at like a 4-year-old level. So I feel like if it did have that trickle effect and come over to the UK, I think it would be a good thing. Because, like I said, in my day, there was no short spring. And even if people had bad grades or the struggle to read, I don't know, I just feel like social media, it just takes your mind away when you're supposed to be doing something. Like, even with my kids, they're all under 10, but I see the addiction with the iPad or even with like YouTube. So they don't have much time like that because I can see it and they kind of just be dumb. Like, my daughter could be on the iPad. I asked her to do something and she's just like, huh? And it's just like, nah. So yeah, cut the social media. Heck.
Changes from social media is going to stop them. In Australia, they're going to make it illegal for anyone under the age of 16 to have social media. It sounds great in theory, but it's almost like all old people have forgotten what it's like to be a teenager. Do you guys remember what you were doing when you were 15? Because I'm sure there are a few things you were keeping from your parents. Now, I know I'm going to get hate for this, but banning teenagers from social media is not the solution because they're going to do it behind your back anyway. I know if I was a teenager, I would end up lying to my parents and I would be on social media unsupervised. I don't know if some of you missed the memo, but this is how teens communicate. It is not the 70s anymore. Instead of banning teenagers, shouldn't we be educating the parents on how to keep our teens safe? Most of the parents I speak to only know how to update their Facebook status. Maybe even placing more restrictions on teenager accounts rather than completely taking it away from them. Most of the parents I talk to don't even know how to check their teenager's account. And if they don't even know how to access that, do they know about their child's account? What's happening in their comments section? Is their account public or private? These are things you need to know.
So how I do my parenting, I want to kind of be old school. So basically what I went through, so my kids are not going to have the latest phone when they go to school. As long as they got like a normal phone that they can ring me, text me, that's all they're getting. My partner's niece, she's 13 and she has TikTok, but she's not allowed to post. So she just watches stuff, which kind of can be worse than actually posting. Because like, you see when kids were doing them challenges, you know, some kids have ended up dying. That's the subway surfing that a lot of kids have been doing. They've been getting hurt or death with that. There's been a lot of trends on TikTok and kids have followed it and then they've ended up killing themselves. A lot of kids have been getting blackmailed, like sexually blackmailed, like if they sent nudes to someone, what they thought it was a girl, but maybe it was a guy. So there's just been like a lot of crazy stuff happening to kids on social media. So I really don't blame them for putting this ban in. Obviously, if it works out to be good in Australia, I definitely will see a trickle effect because it will like shimmer over to the UK and America. America are going back and forth if they're gonna let Americans keep TikTok. They need to sell it to an American or Trump's like, we're getting rid of it. Like Trump's gonna come in the White House and he's just gonna literally do a whole 360. Like it's gonna be crazy. I'm actually dreading next year because I just feel like a lot of madness is gonna happen. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments on what else is trending that you want me to cover. Please like, comment and subscribe and share and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.